Welcome, crafty friends. Today I'm sharing a beautiful and easy way to add subtle shimmer to your cards without overpowering your design. If you love a soft, elegant glow that catches the light just right, this technique is for you. I'll walk you through a simple but effective way to incorporate shimmer. This technique will elevate your cards and give them the perfect finishing touch. This video is also a part of a video hop with Hero Arts and their March collections, so be sure to drop a comment down below to be entered into the giveaway. I'm going to have the giveaway information and a link to the next person in the hop linked down below in the video description. The set from the March collection that I'm going to be featuring today is the Special Day Butterfly, and it has these gorgeous floral images and butterflies, plus two coordinating sentiments. So the first thing that I'm going to do is stamp out the images. I did kind of pre-design my card a little bit. I had an idea how I wanted them to lay out on the front of the card project. So these are the images I picked. I have some white cardstock placed into my Misty tool and I'm inking up the images. I'm actually using the intensified black ink, but intense black ink from Hero Arts would work, or any other black ink that is safe to use with alcohol markers, because I'm going to be coloring in my images using my Olo markers today. I did stamp the images twice, so I am going to be sure to set that ink with a heat tool before I begin coloring. I'm going to have the color of Olo markers that I'm using listed at the top of the screen so you can always jot those down for future reference. Now, when I was thinking about my card project, these flowers are very whimsical and elegant to me, and also so is the butterfly. So I kind of wanted to go with that theme for my card project. I wanted them to be light and whimsical, and I was kind of inspired by a previous card that I had done where I colored the leaves, but I didn't really color the flower. I did some shading to it, but I wanted to give the impression that it was white. So that was a previous project, and I really liked how that turned out. So I thought for this flower, I'm going to color in the leaves kind of with this olivey or moss green, but I'm going to leave the flower I shouldn't say leave. I'm going to make the flower very, very light, which is kind of out of character for me. I usually like very bold and vibrant colors, but I decided to try my hand at doing more of a soft or pastel blend. I had also picked out the card base that I was going to use, or the color of cardstock that I would use for the card project. And I'll get to that in just a moment, but that color is going to be very light. So I am going to keep my flower very light, or I was going to try to. Sometimes that doesn't always work because I tend to get a little carried away or heavy-handed, but I think in this case it really did work out. So for my flowers, I am going with this kind of peachy tone, and I'm staying on the light end of the spectrum of these colors. Now, with the Olo markers, they have some downloadable charts on their website that I printed out on a colored printer, and I reference that a lot. I like to see what colors line up next to each other in kind of a three assortment, or just kind of three different shades right next to each other. And this is the color combo that I thought worked well to give me that light peachy tone and also keep it very whimsical and still being able to create some shadows. For instance, underneath the petals, I like to start there. That I know I'm going to have a shadow underneath a petal or overlapping a petal. And that kind of gives me a jump start and helps me kind of continue on to these center petals, the ones that you're going to really see in the forefront. And I know I stamped the butterfly, and you're going to see it colored in when I line up the coordinating dies, but it really did not end up matching my project. So I did leave that coloring off. I'm sorry. I just thought it would save a little bit of time because I didn't end up even using it. But once the coloring was done, I lined up the coordinating dies, held them in place with the best ever craft tape, and ran them through my die cut machine. Now to work on my background. So I have the Snowfall Cling background stamp. I believe this was actually in a My Monthly Hero kit at one point, and now it is released into the regular catalog. So I picked it up with the Door of the Misty. I placed chiffon cardstock over the top, and I have repositionable tape on the back of that. So that way, when I flipped my Misty over, the cardstock is in the perfect placement for my background stamp. And this is where we are going to get into that subtle shimmer. So, for starters, I have Chiffon Cardstock, which is from Spellbinders. It is one of my absolute favorite. There's Bellini and Chiffon are two of my favorite light colors from Spellbinders. So, I inked up my background with the watermark and embossing ink from Hero Arts. I thought about tone on tone at first, but then I remembered that Hero Arts has a bunch of these iridescent embossing powders and they give the most beautiful shimmer to your card projects. So I kind of dug through and I found the iridescent bronze. I honestly was not sure how this was going to look because it changes kind of depending on your cardstock. It's going to give a little bit of a different look. I was hoping this would work because I have a very light cardstock. So once I sprinkled that on over the entire background, I tapped off any excess and then I am melting that embossing powder with my heat tool. Now, once it is cooled off, I take a Swiffer cloth and I buff over the top to remove any excess kind of that iridescence that it leaves behind. And when I hold this up to the camera does not do it justice, friends. It is beautiful, and the bronze actually kind of gives it that peachy tone. So it looks like tone on tone, but with that subtle shimmer. So definitely check out the iridescent embossing powders over at Hero Arts because they just may surprise you. And they are going to give you subtle shimmer on a light colored cardstock. But if you use them on a dark colored cardstock, you're really going to see it a lot more. But I was going for the subtle texture and shimmer for today. So off screen, I die cut a circle from the Nesting Circles die set. And I had an idea what I was going to do. So I needed to get my sentiment stamped out. This sentiment also comes off of that Special Day Butterfly stamp set. I am stamping it on my scratch paper that I die cut out the circle from, stamping it twice to make sure I have a really good crisp impression, and then I die cut it out with the coordinating die. Now, my circle piece, I am adding some foam tape to the back of it so that I can pop this up for a little dimension. And then I will remove the backing and add that to the center of my card. I did go ahead off screen and attach my card front to a side folding card base. Then I'm going to build up my little bouquet. I'm adding a little bit of liquid glue to the bottom of that stem, and I'm going to attach it behind my bigger flower. Once those two are attached, I can then flip it over and I am going to add foam tape to the back of that as well. So there is going to be a little bit of dimension, but you could just glue it straight to that circle if you want to. Then I will remove the backing from that and I'm going to place that so it's kind of slightly off of the nesting or off of that circle just a little bit. So it's kind of hanging off slightly. I'm also adding liquid glue behind my sentiment. When I die cut the sentiment, I die cut it two more times from white cardstock and layered it together. So I already had a little bit of dimension there. I didn't need foam tape for that. And then just a couple finishing touches is I am adding some stardust stickles to the center of my large flower and then just kind of giving some lines of that stickles to my smaller flowers. And then one more thing I wanted to do was add a couple white gel highlights to the leaves to help make them pop a little bit. So there we have this beautiful subtle shimmer in the background. It's kind of that tone on tone look. Honestly, the camera just does not do it justice. It is so gorgeous and elegant in real life. Now, all of the supplies that I used today will be linked down below in the video description and over on my blog. I'm also going to be posting the giveaway information and the link to the next person in the video hop. So be sure to check down below in that video description and read all about it. Thank you all so much for spending time with me today, and I will see you again soon.